Divine Love Sanctuary Foundation, based in Gibsons, Canada, but it's an international organization aimed at bringing together light workers and people who are interested in high-level spirit contact from all over the world. I think I'm right in saying that. But I'm going to get them to talk about the organization, their journey, and some of the messages that they've been receiving. So, Al and Jeanne, over to you.
Well, thank you, Wendy. Al and I agreed that I would go first and share a little bit about our foundation and the activities. What an opportunity to do some shameless self-promotion. And then Al's going to follow, and I hope you hang in there for Al because he's such a gifted speaker, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about our spiritual journey and how we came here today. So first, I would just like to say, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of nervous. And I think it's because it's so awesome to be amongst such an esteemed group of spiritual seekers and light workers, as Wendy says. And I also wanted to acknowledge that I believe Nikola Tesla has had a hand in our meeting and some of the steps guiding us to this place that we're at today. And Craig, meeting you and so many others, we were in Phoenix at the conference in 2018. And maybe if other people were there at that conference in 2018, would you give a wave so I can, oh, well, maybe we've met. We're bonded spiritually. That's for sure. So Nikola Tesla, as I feel he's part of this connection between all of you here and our Divine Love Sanctuary Foundation. He was that renowned electrical engineer, and he passed into spirit in 1943. And I hope that you can feel his loving presence as I am right now. And I want to acknowledge that at that conference, which was so powerful, so amazing, there was almost 400 people, and the exceptional projects that everyone brought, and it was so impactful. It really opened our eyes to more about what's going on in the rest of the world, and it's humbling because we feel such great respect for you and all the work that you've done, and we sure pay tribute to Wendy and Victor and the legacy they're leaving, the legacy they're still building. So at that conference, you may remember the keynote address by Sonia, Rinaldi, and it was especially impactful for me, and I think for both of us, because the number one thing was her compassionate work, touching the lives of so many and relieving the pain and the grief of countless suffering parents and other people through her great work. And then the demonstrations that Sonia provided about the work that Tesla is now doing in spirit. It was just phenomenal. And so I guess what excites me so much from the depths of my soul are that Tesla has also come to us in our groups, and he's been greatly encouraging. And I thought that I would excerpt maybe just a couple of things that he's said to us that I think you'll relate to. He says that and this was in November of 2017, he said, there is so much that can be given to humanity to bring greater harmony into the world. In coming times, which are almost upon us, there will be greater opportunity for humanity to shift in its awareness. And I think you probably agree, he was referring to that time as the time we're in now, this great shift that's happening. The other message that he gave, which is powerful for me, is that love is the most powerful energy in the universe, and the capacities of love are not well understood generally. He said that love can alter many aspects of both the material and the spiritual worlds, that the power of love continues to transform and enliven everything, because as it touches your soul, it changes everything within you. And so when I reread that message from Tesla this morning, I changed my talk around. I think Tesla so eloquently describes what our Divine Love Sanctuary Foundation mission is all about. It is to ignite the power of God's love in our souls and in gatherings around the world and online. So our primary tenet is that God is love, and our purpose is to put love into action and to be channels of love and peace and healing in the world. And as I think about the people that we met in Phoenix and meeting Wendy and Victor in Sydney on 2 occasions, I know that you emulate these goals as well. So I believe we resonate in many ways. So how does our foundation, DLSF, go about putting love into action? And Wendy invited us to discuss some of the activities that we're engaged in. So just like this Sunday global gathering, we also use this fabulous Zoom platform to host online circles of light. And we're, during this period of social isolation, the number of requests has just escalated. And so we're now doing them every Sunday, every Monday, every Tuesday, and every Friday. Whereas in the past, it was more alternate weeks. But people come together from every time zone, and somewhat like the number of people here today, from every continent. And we come together for prayer. There's 3 mediums involved, Al, and then 2 other divine love mediums. And one is Jimbo Walsh. Maybe some of you have met him on the previous global gatherings. He lives in Hawaii, and he's done a couple of presentations at this time for the global gathering. And the other divine love medium who works with us is Maureen Cardoso from Abbotsford, British Columbia. So our online circles are just escalating. And then we have a prayer chat line. We use the WhatsApp platform, and there's people all around the world that are dedicated to prayer and building what our spirit guides have asked us to do, is to contribute to this lattice of light that's being built all around the world through the positive efforts of you know, many people in different global organizations. And this beautiful lattice of light is growing, and especially during these times of the transformation in the world. We have MailChimp, and here's Kevin, Wave Kevin, our wonderful volunteer who sends out messages every week to people that subscribe to hear messages from Celestials. And then we have another MailChimp partner in Jeff Cutler, who lives close to Wendy and Victor in Sydney. And for those who are really eager, he's sending out messages from our celestial guides and teachers every day. We also have 3 different discussion groups, and we're greatly inspired by what Wendy and Victor are doing. Victor's questions in the Facebook discussion group are always well received by your participants, and Al is on there, I think, almost every day now, and I get there when I can, but it's really inspiring to have these opportunities for discussion groups. So we have one of our own on Facebook, another one in WhatsApp, and another one on our website forum. And so all those activities are pretty engaged. Al and I love to travel. So if you happen to invite us to come to your part of the world, you better be careful what you say, because we might just come. And it's lovely to see where everybody is from, because we've been to over 70 countries. And Barbados, James, we're coming to see you soon. So I think we should have a retreat there in Barbados, and everyone's welcome. And then we also have a modest spiritual center in our home. We are fortunate to live on the west coast of Canada, which is the mildest and most sought after destination in Canada for the mild climate and the magnificent scenery and the wildlife. So when we retired from the big city of Vancouver, we moved over here, and we have a little guest house and another suite, and there's B&Bs in the area. And Al's a retired landscaper and gardener, so we are just up the hill from a beautiful beach, and the garden envelops all of us. He also grows fruits and vegetables and berries that keep us healthy. And the wildlife around here, sometimes we get orca whales swimming by, eagles overhead.
Bears eating the fruit.
Yes, the deer, the bear. But it is a beautiful place for a retreat, and many people have come here from around the world to replenish. And we have healing circles, prayer circles here every day, and then people join up and pray simultaneously as well as online during those prayer times. I think I covered almost everything. It was quite a dramatic start to founding DLSF. It was in 2012, and at that time we were guided to host a retreat here, and we were still working in the city. We were just going crazy, and we thought, well, there would be 5 people coming to this retreat. Some people we met in California, others we met in Texas. And so we thought, well, we can handle that just fine. And in the end, this powerful networking that happens on social media, there were 43 people from around the world. And that was kind of like a coming out party for Al and I, because in our work life, we didn't talk about our spiritual practice and, well, my husband's a medium, he's channeling, and all these spirits. And I worked for a community nonprofit where we had some government contracts to deliver services. And so we kept our spiritual life in the closet. So in 2012, when we hosted this retreat, and all these people came from Africa and Australia and Hawaii and all over Europe and across North America, it was really a coming out party. And so I want to thank you for inviting us, and thanking you all for being on a spiritual journey side by side with so many others in this world. And with that, I'll turn it over to Al.
Yes, it certainly has been a journey. And when Jeanne says a coming out party, what ensued from that was a website, connections to people from around the world. I can imagine that Wendy and Victor kind of went a similar route, where once you get online, once people get to know you, then the communication begins and everything starts to fall into place. And Jeanne and I actually met about 44 years ago in a Divine Love circle, a prayer circle. And I think within 7 months we were married, and the journey began from there. We had a pretty regular life in terms of having careers and children and all of the material concerns that one deals with in a life. And so we were a part of a Divine Love circle that met every week in the city in Vancouver, and kept that going, and it's still going to this day. This is 44 years of the same group and others who have joined in over the years, meeting every week. So it's been quite a commitment. And then when we retired in Gibson's about 6 years ago, and we continue that. Well, we can't right now because of the virus. We're doing it online, but generally we get together in person with a group of people. So what is the foundation of what we're doing? What is the core motivation for what we're doing? It begins with, at least for me, and I think for Jeanne as well, and for several who are on this call with us, an experience of opening ourselves to something we call divine love. And in that opening, in that experience of divine love, there is an inflowing of energy into our souls, into the very center of our being, that is uplifting and expansive and joyful. It is a palpable joy and sense of the divine that comes in the process of prayer. So the more earnest you are with prayer, the more this experience is going to be real to you. And it's become such a way for us of life that it is a daily commitment. And although we have had our ups and downs in life and situations to surmount, we have continued with this prayer practice, which is what it is, for all of these years. And of course, now we're very much involved with it with other people. So when I heard about divine love, I was actually thinking I would become a minister in a religion, a Japanese religion called Jorei. And met some people that were involved, and I got involved myself. And there are certain practices and beliefs that come with that, and I was quite taken by it. And then I met a friend, a beautiful lady in Vancouver, whom I ended up working for a while, who told me about this divine love. She was a medium. And she told me about the spirits, about the different gradations of spirit, and you can go low, you can go high, and you can go what is called celestial spirits. Anyway, in my first encounter with her, she brought through a spirit name, which is Confucius, which I think we all know about who he is. And he came through in such a way that her entire facial features turned into Chinese. She's a Caucasian woman. So this is quite a dramatic transformation. And Confucius came through very clearly. And I must say I was both thrilled and scared at the same time because of the intensity of the experience. You could feel the energy of it and see the manifestation at the same time. And I was, 20 years old at the time. So, this is like, I'm a greenhorn. I know very little. But this was real. I could tell that my friend Barb was not there, and that the spirit, who claims to be Confucius, was there. And he said to me that they only take those that are strong. In other words, if you want to do this, of course, I had a curiosity about mediumship, then you've got to be strong and know what you want. So he gave me kind of an invitation and a warning at the same time, like, be sure this is what you want, because it's not something that's easily accomplished to channel divine love spirits. They're way up there. They're way beyond the earth plane. Their connection with earth, their reality is so different from ours that it's like night and day. So for them, in order to make rapport with us on the earth plane, we need to have a certain measure of light, and in this case, a certain measure of divine love in our souls in order to establish this connection. So most of the perspective, I think, with many of you in this organization, AREI, and what Victor and Wendy are doing are involved in mediumship to some degree or another, or at least have a deep interest in it. Spirit communication is, I would think, the focus of what you're all doing. I hope you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand and our connections at that conference that we went to, it's all about connecting with spirit. So we also have a great interest in connecting with spirit, but our paradigm or goal is to connect with celestial angels. Now, even though Jeanne and I were part of these prayer groups for divine love, in other words, we would sit in what we call a circle of light and pray for divine love. We'd ask for our souls to be open to receive this gift of divine love. And often within those circles, celestial spirit would come through one of the mediums present and give us an uplifting message, a message that relates to our journey of receiving divine love. So both of us were involved in this for a good 35 years before one of my guides, Andrew, came to me and said, it's time for you to step forward. And I said, great, and do what? And they said, it's time for you to step forward. And I said, well, that's fine. I want to be of service, but what do you want me to do? And he said, we want to speak through you. I said, me? I said, I'm not a medium. In all these 35 years, I had no inkling that I was a medium. But they said, we beg to differ with you, that we think that you are a medium, that you have this gift, and it's time for you to utilize this gift. We're asking you if you would like to step forward in this way. And I said, well, I have to think about it. Because when you're a channel for these celestial spirits, and I will say it's the likes of Jesus and Confucius and others that are well known, Augustine, and all of these spirits that are well known in the world, people look at you askance. They don't believe that you're actually channeling these beings. They are skeptical, and I think I would be too if I didn't have the experience that I've had over the years of knowing and confirming for myself that these spirits what they say they are. And so I thought, well, do I really want to take on this role as a medium in this regard? Because it's a bit of a tough go. I've seen my friends who are mediums have quite a challenge in terms of credibility and people challenging them in terms of what they're doing and who this is and this and that. So, and I know everybody who is a medium and who is involved in proving the existence of spirit faces these challenges as well. So it's not unique to what we're doing, of course, but I'm sure even some of you, when I say, I channeled Jesus a couple of days ago and a message was given, some of you would be skeptical. It's just understandable. It's so far removed from our everyday reality that it's a bit odd, to say the least. But anyway, I thought about it and I said yes, and I said under one condition, that you will protect me from other spirits, that I only want to channel celestial spirits, that I want your cloak of protection over me at all times so that I'm not subject to any Tom, Dick, and Harry spirit that want to come through. Because I'm sure, as many of you know, being a medium means you're a hot commodity from the viewpoint of the spirit world. They want to speak through you. They want to communicate to many other people. They want to be able to utilize your gifts in order to connect with their families and loved ones and all of that. And it's an admirable task to do that. I'm not against that. But for myself, and because of the journey I was on for those 35 years, I felt that it was best that if I were to be used as a medium, that it's to give this message of divine love. This is what I want to do. And I have always wanted to do that. And it was interesting right at the beginning when I discovered this and really took it on. I said, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm a 23-year-old guy and I'm hot to trot and all of that stuff. And Augustine comes through, my friend Barb, the medium, and says, my son, you will have many trials and tribulations before that time comes when you will be used as an instrument as you would like and to be a channel for this truth of divine love in the world. And indeed, it was many years and many trials and tribulations. I had to mature, obviously. I mean, I wasn't a mature 23-year-old. In fact, I was a very immature 23-year-old, I think.
He was cute. He had long hair. He had hair. He was really skinny.
I was a hippie at the time.
Yes.
And anyway, so another experience I had was a calling from Jesus, and I was guided. I was in touch. I was communicating with my spirit guides quite well and quite early on in the game. And I was told to go up to a place in Vancouver, which is, Vancouver is a city of gardens, and there are many gardens. There's a beautiful garden up on a hill with a geodesic dome, and it has tropical plants in it. Of course, we're in a climate that we cannot grow many tropical plants, although I try dearly to do that in my garden because, you know, my challenge as a gardener, I love to do something different. So anyway, this beautiful geodesic dome, this was, I think, in March. It was a miserable, cold March day, raining, and I said, okay, well, I'll go. I wasn't working at the time. I was waiting to get back to work. And so I went up there and I went into the dome and there was nobody there. It was completely bereft of people except for myself and the person taking the admission fee. And so I started walking around, and that's kind of the feeling I got, just walk. And I came to a bench, and my guide said, sit down and start to pray. So I thought, okay, great. There's nobody here. You know, I'll just do that. So I did. And as soon as I started praying, the light changed dramatically. And it started, the atmosphere started to be infused with colors, and it was all the colors of the rainbow, except one by one, they came down and overtook me. It just flowed through me, one by one, until it got to a gold color that was very bright. And then in the middle of that color was the image of Jesus, and not the image, the actual presence of Jesus. I could see his facial features, but just barely, because it was so bright that I could hardly look at him. But I knew it was Jesus. And he came to give me a message. I'm getting a little emotional, sorry. It was a very dramatic turning point in my life. And he said, you are my brother as I am my father's eldest son, and you will do this work that I have done, and so you will do. And he talked to me for a while, and then he gave me a vision of standing in a large crowd. It was what appeared to be a church. It was not an ornate church at all. It looked like a very poor congregation, and it seemed like it was somewhere not where I live, maybe in South America or something. And I was speaking. There was a group of people speaking, and I took my turn. I got up and spoke, and I could see myself doing this. And as I spoke, and I didn't really hear what I was saying, but as I spoke, above me, Jesus appeared in broad daylight. His figure, he was standing with his right hand clasped like this. He opened his hand, and light shot over the crowd. And I, you know, in the vision, I looked up to see where the light was coming from. People were gasping and crying. They were so startled by the experience. And as I looked up, he disappeared. And Jesus spoke some more, and I have to admit that as my young self in my early 20s, as I looked at myself as I am today in my 60s, I was shocked, so shocked that I lost rapport with Jesus. I was so taken with who what I looked like in my elder years, and quite honestly, it is what I look like today. And it was, the whole thing was just very overwhelming. But Jesus left me with such a sense of joy and enthusiasm for this that it has never left. I mean, in all, the process of my growing and developing as a medium and as a person, as a soul, and there have been ups and downs and all around. That vision, that gift that Jesus gave me, is the one thing that uplifts me and comforts me in those times when I don't feel particularly comforted by my journey. So those are just a few things that have happened over the years, and there are many, many. I've written a couple of books about them. One is The Quiet Revolution of the Soul, and I've written a book on divine love mediumship. So if any of you are interested, they are available to buy. They're not very expensive. They're not very big, but
you can download them for free on our website.
Yes. So in this journey of mediumship, I've channeled over, I think, 2,500 messages over the years. The average would be one a day, although certainly not every day. And it's been amazing. And the journey of mediumship has been very interesting. How it started out kind of rudimentary, and the messages that came through were pretty basic and loving and reassuring. And I could feel the angels. They have a particular energetic signature, which is that of the divine love, which has a particular energetic signature. And all of that, I mean, it's always uplifting. But now the messages that are coming through are often teaching messages and giving some details about the soul. Now, our journey and our focus has been to teach about the soul, not about the mind, not about the faculties of psychic ability, but the faculties of the soul. And they're different. Now, of course, the soul and the mind needs to come together and work together in this regard. So that's also another focus and teaching that we do. And we've done this. We taught about divine love and taught about mediumship all over the world, many different retreats and circles and days and evenings of talks and this and that. We've been guided. Every journey that we've taken has been guided, and we've been provided the funds to do so. And Spirit said that would be the case, that we would be provided for, guided, protected, shown the way, the doors would open, experiences would happen. I have no doubt that being here is an expression of the guidance of our angels, and of course the spirits that are working with all of you. So it's been a wonderful journey. It's been full of surprises, full of unexpected things, full of remarkable experiences, full of grace,
healing,
and full of joy,
miracles.
Wonderful, wonderful things. And I wouldn't have changed anything for the world, even the difficult stuff. You know, you learn from that, even the challenging things, you learn from that. And as a child, I loathed my sensitivity. As a child, you know, as a boy growing up in a rather rough neighborhood on the east side of Vancouver, if you're a sensitive kid, you're not going to have a good time, believe me. And I used to hate that I had this sensitivity. Now I am in such joy that I do, that my life is different, that my perspective is different from so many other people. And that this other dimension of communicating with Spirit and having this as a daily occurrence is just remarkable and magnificent. And I'm just happy that God gave me the gifts that I have in order to do the work that we do and the work that they wish to do through us. So it's been wonderful, and thank you for listening to our story.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, thank you, Al and Jeanne. I mean, it's, I'm speechless. I don't know if other people are. It's just, this is just the beginning of our association with you. And I'm sure a lot of people have got questions or things that they'd like to clarify with you. Perhaps if I could ask you, just to start off, I understand that you've been getting a lot of messages about the current time and the awakening that's happening. Could you perhaps speak to that? Just give us an idea of your perspective on what is going on at the moment.
Thank you, Wendy. And to this end, we have a whole collection. I don't know how many messages, 50, 100 maybe, on our website. And it's called Earth Changes and the Spiritual Awakening of Humanity. And I know we're not alone in getting this guidance. We've seen it from many different mediums around the world that have been talking about the cleansing, the transformation. And I think, you know, we're already seeing some of the positive benefits of this time. Al had the vision himself, more than 2 years ago about the virus, where it started and how it spread, and that there will be 3 waves of it. This is the first wave. So,
yeah, we've been getting messages from Spirit right from the beginning. As long as I can remember, they've been saying that changes are coming to the world, and they're saying this is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. I mean, how long can we continue to denigrate the planet with our lifestyles and the way we are in the material world before things start falling apart? So this is actually intervention. I believe that the changes that are coming, and there'll be many, is intervention, and will cause, of course, our structures and the way we are living now to change dramatically, because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. So we will have to adjust and roll with the punches. And it's not going to be easy. I don't think any of us are going to escape some discomfort or challenge in our lives. The key is, and they say the key is, to not be fearful, but to have faith. Go ahead.
So coming together in global communities like we are doing today, I really think is part of the guidance that we're all receiving from the spirit world. I have no doubt that Tesla's had a hand in this, and many others. And the global consciousness and awareness is coming together, and it's getting stronger, I think, day by day.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Luis Sergio and Livia, because I know they have to go, and I know they're doing something very, very similar in Brazil with their circles. So I'd like to see if they have something that they would like to ask or share. Over to you, Luis Sergio.
Thank you. Okay, thank you first and foremost. Thank you very much for the opportunity to asking them questions. Thank you for the explanation of your beautiful mission, your beautiful task there. As I'm a spiritist here in Brazil, my wife does too. And it's much similar, because our goal is real love, and the love that can replenish us with the capacity of doing good, being better people. And the messages from the beyond that keep this goal are the most important indeed. Of course, messages from loved ones that come and give their message to their loved ones here on earth, and to console them. They are doing love, they're practicing love. But of course, as Jesus Christ says in the Revelation book, I knock on your door and I warn you. I will reproach you sometimes, right? So the higher spirits, they are not very, sometimes not very comfortable for us to be with sometimes, because, you know, friendly spirits, when I do something wrong, they just say, oh, come on, Luis. Okay, you're a good guy. But the higher spirit, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. When you do something wrong, they are very loving, but they really come to you and say, look, you know, you can do better, right? And this kind of message is love, right? And this, and I really admire your work, and I didn't know about that, and that's the first time I'm getting in touch with the Divine Love people. And we hope you keep up the very good work and loving work, which is the most important thing. No other theories, no other philosophies can bear such an importance approach